Welcome to the Top 1% Founders Playbook. All right, so this mini course I put together because it is my passion to build businesses and helping people build better businesses. Over the years, we've helped many companies, close to 500 now, 600 now actually, to build better businesses. And out of those 600, I think roughly 100 of them have actually reached the top 1%. Now, with that said, I think most people don't know what a top 1% business looks like. And that I also think that they don't know what it takes to actually build a top 1% business. You see, everybody thinks just spend more on marketing, just create good products and people will come. But that is all myths. Those are all lies. Building a top 1% business is a lot more than just spending more money on ads and building better products. And that is why this mini course exists. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Jandre. I'm the founder of V8 Media. We started V8 Media in 2018 after I was the first person to run Facebook ads in 2011. So after 7 years of learning internet marketing and having sold my first business at the age of 23, 24, and working with an exceptionally amazing entrepreneur that understood retail, wholesale, and online, as well as just everything that's got to do with building a great business, I thought it was a good idea to start V8 Media in 2018 to help other businesses do the same, with the idea to combine marketing expertise and business expertise in order to build the best business possible for our clients. Now, since then, we've gone on to actually start our own V8 Capital division, where we also invest in businesses. And in that division now, we've got 3 top 1% businesses. All right, so in this course, we're going to talk about what a top 1% business looks like and what is actually necessary for you to focus on and what you need to be aware of in order to build such a business. Let's start with the first thing in mind, which is what winning actually looks like. All right. Now, if you in this course, I want to mention that we have a free PDF guide. You know, it's over 100 pages long. There's a bunch of information in there. This is just the recap. This is the overview. All right. So all the information that's in the PDF is not in this video. This video is just there to give you a quick recap. And I want to encourage you to really read through that PDF because there's a lot of nuances and more detailed explanations that might help you understand what to do, when to do it, etc. So with that said, this is just the overview. You can find, the link somewhere we've probably sent it via email. If you're watching on YouTube, it's in the description somewhere, but somewhere you should be able to get the PDF. I highly recommend that you read through that as well. So there's probably a few reasons why you're here today, all right? So if you are owning a business and you've got your hands on this free course, there might be a good chance that you feel stuck, whether that's 50K a month, 100K a month, $500,000 a month, $1 million a month, whatever it is. And at the end of the day, there's just this glass ceiling that you probably can't break through. Now, that is why we exist. We're going to help you become more self-aware, not only about yourself, but also about your business, what the bottlenecks are, and then ideally how to fix it. Let's just dive straight in. Now, when it comes to building a business, we need to decide what are the things that we're actually going to track, which will determine if we're building the business that we want to build, the business that's actually healthy, the business that's actually helping us reach the top 1%. Now, it's almost like playing sport. If you're playing sport, there is always a scoreboard, all right? You need to know what score you're actually measuring in order to determine if you're winning or not. Now, in the case of business, there's 2 things that matter, and that is revenue and that is profit before tax. Now, revenue is the money that comes in, and profit before tax is what's left after you've covered all your expenses. And this is the thing that people focus on the least. Everybody focuses on revenue. They post screenshots, they share at a braai about how well things are going, but at the end of the day, there's this underlying level of anxiety because somehow the bank account is not growing. Somehow it feels like you're moving backwards and you just don't know how because you keep pushing, revenue keeps growing, but profit for some reason just doesn't want to tag along. And I think that is why this course is so important. And that's why the PDF as well is something that you should definitely read through. So on this slide, you'll see this is what a top 1% business actually looks like, all right? What winning looks like is doing 2 mil a month or more. When you get to the point where your business is generating 2 mil a month consistently every single month, which means you're doing 24 million a year, then you officially crack the top 1% in terms of revenue, but not yet profit. See, a lot of people can build a 2 million rand a month business, but the question is, do you have 15 to 20% profit before tax as a profit percentage as well? And I think that is what I would see as a top 1% business, as a business that's doing 24 million a year, but also has profit margins between 15 to 20% before tax. Now, if you're doing 24 million a year, 15 to 20% becomes 300 to 400K a month in your pocket after all expenses paid. That is before paying SARS. That is what we call profit before tax. That's why it's called PBT. That percentage you ideally want to be 15 to 20%. If you can get to 24 million a year and have 15 to 20% profit margins, after all expenses is paid, before paying your favorite client, SARS, then that is what I would say is a top 1% business. And only 1% of people get it right, which means 99% of people, of entrepreneurs, of business owners, never, ever get there. Now, for some, that might sound very easy and very doable. But the reality is 99% of South Africans never make it there. Okay, so now you know what that looks like. Most South African businesses, just a fun fact if you don't know, most of them, end up crossing the 200K a month mark. I would say that's roughly where 50% to 60% of businesses are. And then when you reach the 200 to 500K a month mark, that is roughly between 2.5 and 6 million a year, then you are in the top 25% roughly. And then the strivers, when you're doing 500K to a million a month with 7 to 10% profit margins, you are in that top 10, top 15%. But when you're doing 2 million rand a month, which is 24 million a year with 15 to 20% profit before tax, you have entered the top 1% of South Africa when it comes to businesses and entrepreneurs. A lot of people ask me, Jandre, why profit before tax? Why is that the metric that you measure? Well, guys, here's why. Whatever cash you have left after growing the business, that is what you can obviously reinvest into whatever you want. That gives you the freedom of creativity. That gives you the freedom of opportunity. That gives you the freedom to keep testing. That gives you the freedom to essentially buy what you want. See, most business owners just focus on revenue. And revenue is great. That might get you on the Entrepreneur magazine cover, but profit is what buys the yachts. That's what people, the rich actually get right, is the profit that buys the yachts. And revenue is just vanity at the end of the day. So here's a little bit of a gut punch. You see, a business that's doing roughly 2 million rand a month in revenue with 7 to 10%, which is average profit margins. That's the average business today in South Africa. The average business has a profit margin between 7 to 10%. Nothing more and most likely less. And if you're doing 24 million a year, that means you're making roughly around 140 to 200K a month. That sounds like a lot, but it's really not for all the effort that you have to put in. Now, the top 1%, they do the same revenue, but they make roughly double the amount of profit. They make 15 to 20% profit before tax. That becomes 300 to 400K a month, free-flowing cash flow, baby, right back in your pocket, and you can decide what to do with it. So what you actually keep, that is what we're trying to achieve with this course. Is yes, you'll be able to grow revenue by following a lot of these principles, but what we actually want to get right is helping you keep more of the profits at the end of the day. So as you can see, most founders are sitting between 140 to 200K a month that are doing over 2 million. But you, ideally what you want is to be in the top 1%, which means you've got 300, which means you've got 300 to 400,000 Rand in free flowing cash flow coming back into the business. Like I said before, revenue is vanity, profit is sanity. I have a slogan, which is, I want to make peaceful profits. Now, trust me, the profits we make are not always peaceful, but the idea is to increase the percentage of peace every single year when it comes to the profits that we make. And that comes down to building a better business, which is why this course exists. So one thing before we continue to the next lesson is you need to understand this journey has different stages, okay? There is the 200K a month stage where you're doing anything between 0 to 200K a month. That is where the biggest problem you have in the market right now is to create demand. You are not creating enough demand in the market. Okay, so I've seen so many people trying to fix 2 million Rand a month business issues, but they actually are not there yet. They're still struggling with 200K a month issues. So don't worry about the 2 million Rand a month issues that will come along the way. Pin that for now. Just focus on the issues that you have to solve in your business today. And if you are doing between 0 to 200K a month, then it means that you do not have enough demand. Most likely. The chances of you having oversupply of demand and having the ability to fulfill on that demand is very low. And I'd say majority of people here need to solve demand. Yes, you need to solve your supply chain, and maybe if you're a service-based business like an agency, or if you're making food, it might be a bit more skewed 50-50 in terms of demand and supply, and being able to do the work from a logistical point of view, from an operations point of view, whatever that may be. But most businesses here have to solve a demand problem. And then when you get to 500K a month, well, then the question becomes, how do you get more customers to come back every single month? Because you can create demand, but what percentage of those people actually come back every single month? And that is how growth starts to compound. When you have a healthy rate of repeat purchases and you have a healthy rate of new customers. And when you can find that balance, it starts to compound and the business starts to grow a lot faster. A lot of businesses find themselves in a situation where they create enough demand to generate 500K, but no customers are coming back. So every month they have to start from 0, and you don't want to be that business. Stage 3 is when you're reaching roughly around 1 million Rand a month. Guys, these are all hypothetical numbers, but this is the closest we can generalize it as. And I think this is where operations really become the bottleneck of the business. Okay, we've seen it in our own agency, we've seen it in many other businesses. It's like picking and packing starts to create issues. A lot of mistakes start to creep in. The due diligence starts to fall flat. QC is not there, non-existent. QC just stands for quality control. And this is where operations needs to come in order to fix and glue the business together that can make it stronger in order to keep growing. So that foundation needs to be strong enough in order to continue with the vertical growth that's to follow. And then from 2 million Rand a month up, it's just continuously doing all three of these things. It's create demand, keep customers, keep operations tight, and keep going. And those are roughly the 4 stages. Now, as a founder, at 200K a month, solving 1 million Rand a month problems, guys, like I said before, you're just creating expensive confusion. Like, don't put your energy too much into the future. Put your energy in where you're finding yourself today. Fix the problems that you have today. And once you move these levers, everything will start to fall into place. And when you get to a 2 million Rand a month problem, that's when you start to worry about it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't think ahead. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying don't put 90% of your energy in the future and only 10% of your energy in the present. Put 80% of your energy in the present and put 20% of your energy and focus in the future. All right, that covers it for lesson 1. Again, just remember, this is the overview. This is not the full course. There is a full PDF that I've written and put all my thoughts and energy and blood, sweat, and tears into it. And if you want to extract the most value out of this, then just click in the link in the description or find it on this page or check your email, because the PDF is there, and I highly encourage you to read chapter 1 and 2 completely before moving on. But from my side, that is all for now. I'll see you guys in the next lesson.